Obsidian for managing multiple projects. Managing one project is manageable, but managing 5 or 6 at the same time is where things fall apart. Not because the work is hard, but because context keeps getting lost. Obsidian works well for managing multiple projects because it keeps everything in one place and without forcing you into any rigid structures. In this video, I'll show you a simple Obsidian workflow for managing multiple projects at the same time while keeping your days focused and your thinking clear. Now, most people think that the problem with managing your projects is time, but it actually is not. The real problem is context switching. Every project has goals, every project has deadlines, there are open questions, and half-finished thoughts. When that information lives in different apps, your brain carries that load. What Obsidian does is that it reduces that load by storing context and not just tasks. Now, the setup that we are going to create is going to have the core principle of using projects as notes and not as dashboards. So the projects that you're going to focus on are going to have their own notes, and those notes are going to contain all information of the projects on them, and you're not going to use any kinds of dashboards or create any kind of dashboards for that. So the core principle is going to be projects as notes. And this workflow is going to treat each project as one main note. Each of those notes is going to answer 3 questions. So let's say you don't really need to have this, but you could. So let's say we have a projects folder like we do over here, and we create a note. Now this is going to be our project note. This project note is going to be one main note, and it is going to be for one project. And here our project note is created, and you can see this note here, and this is the title. And then each of those project notes is going to answer 3 basic questions, and that is going to structure your whole note. So you need to be mindful and you need to answer these 3 questions. The first is, what is this project about? So you need to note down everything related to what this project is about, and you want to write down all details in the shortest way possible. Then you want to note down what the current state of the project is, and that is going to be maybe just one word. And then you have what's next. So all of these questions are really important to give you some clarity on what you need to concentrate on and where you are right now, and that you're going to progress forward from this state. And what's next is also very, very important because it tells you that you need to get done with this so that you can move on to this. And you definitely want to note down what is next, what the next step is, what you're going to do after this. So it's going to build a connection, and this is going to give you a very clear idea of what you need to work on. And each project note should consist of this. Every project is going to have its own note, and every note is going to have this information. So don't manage projects visually. Through this process, you're not going to manage your projects visually, but you're going to manage them through the writing. So you're going to write about them, and you're going to manage them through writing. You're going to take them on with your text. This is going to keep things flexible, and it is also going to make them low maintenance. Now, there is an additional structure that you can add to your project note. So if you go down, you can add in a little bit more information, which would include a project overview, current focus, next actions, and notes and decisions. So this is a way that can keep the project understandable at a glance, and because it's going to be very short and very brief. So if you add in that information, it's going to be very brief, and at a glance, you will be able to understand your project. So when you return after days or after weeks, the context comes back instantly. So you can add in project overview. You can write that in on your, this is just a very simple structure that you can add to your note structure. You can add in project overview, you can add in current focus, and you can add in next actions and notes and decisions. Or you can even make a tiny template out of that and use that for all of your project notes. Now, if you go up here and you click here, you will open up a daily note. So let's open up that and show you the date is going to be the title. And then down here, you can note anything that you want. Now, these are the daily notes, and the daily notes connect the projects to actual work days. So when you take the daily notes according to our system or the system that is being developed over here or the setup, what's going to happen is these daily notes are going to function as a connection between the projects to the actual work days. So each morning, what you're going to do is you're going to choose one main project and one secondary project. So you're going to note it here. You're going to do one main project, and then the second is going to be one secondary project. You're going to discuss two projects and you're going to link them directly in the daily note. So for example, this is the daily note over here. You're going to type in a main project and you're going to type in a secondary project, and that you are going to find from your projects folder. So in your projects folder or in your project note, you're going to have your project note. You're going to have several project notes because you're going to have several projects going on. So you're going to select any two project notes, and then you are going to, so for example, this could be project 3, and we could have another note, and that could be project 5. So let's say we are working on project 5 and project 3, and these are our project notes, and we are going to link these. So for example, I woke up today and it's the morning and I'm over here taking my daily note, working on it. So I have to put in a primary project that I want to work on. So here I'm going to note down, I'm going to link in, I'm going to note down what my primary project is. And let's say my main project is project 3, this one over here. So I have to note down the proper name, project note, and if I add in the square brackets, it would naturally come up. So we have project note 3. I want to link that here, and that is noted. Next, I want to link my secondary project. So I'm going to note that and I'm going to enter that one in. So add in the square brackets, and I have to select this node over here, project 5. So where does it say project 5? Right over here. And now that one is linked as well. So here I would take down any notes that I need to take down, and then I would link both of the projects, which I have done over here. So when I come to my daily note, I can see which projects I need to work on. I could simply click here and I could open up the details of that project. I could go back to my daily project, and then when I'm done with this one and I want to move forward to this one, I would click here and I would go to my project 5, and then it would have details of that project over here. So that way, when I click on the links, I could easily access my notes within seconds. And then if you want to go a step further, or it is recommended that you even go into more detail and you can write in what exactly you need to work on for that project. So if I go over here, I could have details on that project, and I could even skip to what part I need to go to. So I could go back here and I could note down on what step I am, and I could note that down, link that in, and then when I go to the project note, I could go directly to where I'm supposed to. So when you work on a project, you are going to work inside the project notes. So you have these are the project notes, and you are going to work inside these notes. You're going to open the project note, you're going to write directly inside it. You don't just update the tasks or what task you are working on. You actually record the whole thinking process, or whatever you are thinking. You are going to record all of that. Any notes, any decisions, and drafts that you take are going to live where the project lives. This is going to reduce the need to remember what you already figured out, and this is going to save you so much time. So a lot of times we think of stuff and we don't note it down, and everything is not in one place, and then you have to worry about things which you have already gone through and you have already thought through and you have made decisions for, but because you didn't note them down, or you can't find those notes, you have to go over that same thing again and again. So this really reduces time, and it really reduces the need to remember something that you have already figured out. While working on one project, ideas for others will appear. So instead of switching the context, you want to capture the thought right away and add a short line under the relevant project link in the daily note. So you go to your daily note, and under the link of that project, you want to add a short line, and you want to capture that thought very quickly. So no deep organizing. This is going to keep your focus intact while preserving the ideas, which is also equally important. And if you follow this setup, you will be able to review multiple projects without overwhelm. So if once or twice a week you review your project notes, what you can do is you can go into your project notes and you can look for any stale projects, you can look for any blocked decisions or any unclear next steps in your notes over here on your project notes, to be specific. You will see that you are not optimizing. In fact, you're actually restoring clarity. So a few minutes per project are going to be enough to do this. And very easily you will have reviewed all your multiple projects. So with Obsidian, managing multiple projects isn't about better tracking. It's about reducing mental load. And Obsidian works because it holds context so your brain doesn't have to. One note per project, one day at a time, clear thinking across everything. That is what makes managing multiple projects sustainable.